Hi, everybody. Lovely to see you all. Welcome to our weekly IOTA Community Governance call. It's end of June 2022. We had some amazing stuff happening over the last 2 weeks. We finally have a build vote for building a community treasury. And actually, it's time now for us to talk about how this whole thing should happen and what should happen and how we're going to do it. And yeah, so we meet here like every Wednesday, and this meeting is recorded. So whatever you want to say, or if you have to leave earlier or you come later, I'll upload this tomorrow into our YouTube channel and post the link here in the Discord and also on Twitter, so you can rewatch and don't miss any part of this. I thought about a little agenda for today, and I actually hope that we got a lot of people watching this video afterwards, because in the moment we don't have so many people in the call, and most of you are um, experienced in most of the stuff. But I think uh, we should use the call to give out some general informations for those that have not followed the whole governance and DAO topic so much, and provide some basic informations about what it would mean to build a treasury DAO, or potentially mean, what decisions and options are along the way, um, and actually try to get as much as people engaged from the community in all those tasks, because the more people get involved, actually the better the whole system will be. Um, and so I would think about talking about some basic stuff of what the Treasury DAO actually should be, what would be a goal and a vision of this whole thing, or actually how can we come to a definition of this? How can we come to definitions of conditions and requirements for proposals for spending of funds out of this treasury? Um, which decision-making processes would be available, and how can we come to a decision which one we would find feasible for all this? Um, an interesting and pretty important point, definitely legal setup, legal structures, and risk management of this whole treasury. Maybe we give a bit of an overview of what would be available out there, without a big rating, because this will take time to educate the people and provide the information of what structures would be there possible for the Treasury DAO. And we don't know if we're going to have time to skip or to just give some broad information about technical implementations, smart contracts and stuff that would be needed around the Treasury DAO to go basically live. Yeah, and offer some ways for people to get involved. Yeah, and as always, open for questions and suggestions from the group here in the call. Let me see. Yeah, we got some people. Okay. So basically, I thought about, um, we did this over the last nearly 12 months, and especially in the first 3-4 months, where we talked about the definition of all this before we even came to the point where we actually were building the voting system. We made a lot of decisions, and we had a lot of people involved in all the basic talks about actually what questions do we ask. Yeah, how would be the text of for the vote that people would, yeah, and we have one question with several questions, things like this. And in the end, we came to this text that we did put up for a vote in the treasure in the Firefly wallet. And so this is actually what the people have been voted on. Yeah, and so I always would try to keep this thing in mind for whatever we build in the future. that it is kind of based on this decision where 38% of all voters decided for build, and uh, the definition that we made for build within this group during these months was the text of the unclaimed token will be used to support and fund projects and initiatives that are important to the IOTA community ecosystem via future votes. And so if we split this a little bit off, then we and think about what key points we can derive from this text and from this decision, that it's pretty clear. And from this on, I think we can basically come to some basic points on actually what should this treasury do. Yeah, if we want to define some goals and let's say a vision statement or an agenda for the treasury, then it will in the end be based on this thing that it should support and fund projects and initiatives. They should be important for the community and the ecosystem, and they should be selected via future votes. So this is actually what the people decided to have. The question is how to define what is important for the community and the ecosystem. So we could either say, okay, whatever the community votes in a vote or in a proposal, if there's a proposal coming up, we want this and this to happen, and if it gets a majority vote, then it's obviously important for the community. So we can say, okay, that's like keep it really, really open and very undefined, and we'll see what it is. Or will we sit together and try to define a kind of a framework in which funding requests from the treasury would need to reside. Yeah. So as an example, let's say somebody comes and says, Treasury, please sell 500G and send it to the Tezos Foundation, because I like Tezos much more than IOTA, and I think the IOTA community should support Tezos. Yeah. Of course, you can say, yeah, valid proposal, put it up in Firefly for a vote about the whole community. Or we say, guys, thank you very much. It's not fulfilling some basic requirements that we set, which a requirement would be that it actually would need to have something to do with IOTA or with the IOTA ecosystem or the IOTA community, which then would be make it possible, let's say, to filter out spam. Yeah. So the question would be, do we want to define something like this? Do we want to define some basic requirements that every proposal must meet, and to make it possible to reject things in the beginning that are obviously spam or obviously not in the purpose of this treasury thing. Yeah? So this is something that we definitely need to talk about over the next weeks. We have done a lot of talks about this and a lot of things have been written, but I think we may really need to create a document on that and put in some thoughts and then publish it to the community again, and get some insights from everybody and potentially make a poll or make a vote on such a framework that defines, okay, all proposals must follow a certain form. All proposals must kind of have something to do with IOTA or whatever. Yeah. So would be cool if we get a couple of people together that can work on something like this.
Are you wanting to? Are you wanting people to comment now, or do you want to wait?
Yeah, like guys,
Because you,
as
I know you.
always, don't let me talk all the time. Otherwise, I will just continue
Okay,
talking.
well, right. So I would just say that the Bridge Fund group has basically gone through many meetings defining these
Perfect.
what
Yeah.
we call the general principles,
Yeah.
operating principles. I think there's a lot of work that was there, that was good there,
Mm.
and um, I would propose or suggest that perhaps we, move that out of the bridge fund group and actually have people take a look at this in the
Yes.
next meeting, let's say, and then uh, see if we can get a poll on whether or not people think we're on, you know,
Yeah.
in a good place if we're
Yeah,
going to do.
that's lovely. I mean, you done so much great stuff in the bridge fund. Um, so whatever is there, let's transfer this also into
Doing
this.
things because I think it's the
Yeah.
whole general principles, right? Again, like everything. That's all. We went through it and tried to really fine tune that. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. And so really
Yes, please.
we should put
yeah.
this.
Okay, so we had an interruption there, but whatever. I think it's time that we kind of bring the general community into this now and have them take a look at that. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I fully agree on this. The- the-
Hello.
establish
Then
kind
we
of
have,
like general principles on which we should,
yeah,
yeah, and then give it up to the community to decide if everybody agrees on those general principles. Have we got into the? Can you hear me, Philo?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
whole
That's
idea was just general principles, get that in front of everybody so that the whole community can vote on it,
yeah.
or at
Or
least
start
make
discussing
comments on it.
it. Yeah. Make comments on it. Maybe they have some good
we
input.
should
Something.
discuss here, and
Yeah.
then someday on the there will be a Firefly vote again, I guess, when we have like a set collection of proposals out there,
Yeah.
because especially the still pending discussion regarding should we increase the shimmer supply. This also has to be a Firefly board.
Yes, there's a different topic, but there will be more votes. But I think for the Treasury, we definitely should go this road, that we present things here in the meeting, then really put it in the governance forum so that it's like documented there, and we can actually create a poll in the governance forum. And if the poll says, "Hey, cool, that looks like uh, people are interested in it and they want things like this to be brought up for a vote," then we're going to bring it up into Firefly and step by step like this define um, all the needed key points to set up this treasury DAO in the end in a proper way. Yeah, and if there is some
Yeah.
work done already in the several groups that we had established, and we have a lot of stuff documented in the bridge group. We have a lot of stuff documented in the stuff we did like a year or 8 months ago in the governance channel here. Let's bring this all together, kind of edit it and put it into 1 to 3 key documents that will define in the end that will define the treasury DAO. Yeah, that would be actually perfect.
Yeah, I would add blog posts to that. And
Yes.
I
Yeah.
think the IF should at least promote that.
Yeah. We will. We
You
will.
don't have to write them, but
No.
we
If.
definitely could
Yeah.
use to get this out onto the social media platforms and to get people, hey, there's something going on right now. We are discussing, for
Yeah.
example, I'm going to pick up the Shimmer example once again. We're discussing that right now.
Hmm.
There's going to be a vote soon, but hey, if you want, you can come and discuss with us before the vote even happens and have your maybe bring up an alternative.
Yeah. 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 We will.
I,
I talked already with Gunnar. We actually gonna go this way. I mean, the IF had a bit of we had a very neutral position around
yes.
the whole treasury road, but we are going to change this now. We have seen that the
Yeah.
community supports governance and governance decisions. So basically, what we will do is actually we will include governance topics in the weekly IOTA quick takes, in this little video things stuff.
Nice. Good idea.
We will post and retweet about discussions in the governance forum. Yeah, so if there is a new topic coming up or if there is some interesting discussions, we will actually retweet them. If there would be, like you said, community blog posts about governance topics, we would also support them with our social media outreach because we want the community to get more involved in all these governance topics. We are not going to take specific sides mostly, yeah, but sometimes also we're not going to stay as neutral as we have been in the treasury vote. If we like things and we see there is a broad agreement in the community, we will maybe also sometimes just say what we think, especially not maybe from the IF, but from certain accounts. You know, all of us we are humans, we have opinions, and we're sometimes just gonna say what we think. And if we like stuff, we're gonna support stuff. That's also going to
Yeah,
come
well,
from the
now that the vote,
yeah.
now that the vote is complete, right now you basically a decision's been made, so now you have better operating parameters to
Yeah,
work to
yeah.
use.
We
So
we have a
Yeah.
we have a
There's
validation by the
no.
community. Yeah,
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 I do. I maybe want to just the bridge group, bridge fund group. We meet weekly. We
yeah.
spend an hour and a half at least on this, and I shared this with you, Philo. But we I think we came to the realization that there's a lot of confusion and a lot of combining of ideas basically around the DAOs that we have. Okay, so
Mhm.
we have the Treasury DAO, which the bill versus burn vote has been decided, but that's all about the community treasury. And
Yeah,
then we have the Shimmer DAO vote, right? And then we're going to actually have other DAOs coming up. So the question is I think a lot of times the community gets confused
Mhm.
on the governance. What are we working on right now?
yeah,
And also what you do in one can actually be beneficial possibly in the other, right? So making sure that we use whatever bodies of work that have been created in one group is actually known in the other group and maybe applied or at least evaluated to see if it's helpful and meaningful for the other DAO, right?
yeah,
So we proposed, or we came up with this idea to maybe in the Treasury DAO, in the governance calls, like governance should be across the board, all things governance, whether it's the Treasury DAO or the Shimmer DAO, right?
Mhm.
And I think we should maybe consider splitting this meeting up into two equal parts. It doesn't have to be, but just a suggestion that
yeah,
we do like the first 30 minutes around Shimmer
Mhm.
and the Shimmer DAO, and just say, okay, we're talking about that.
yeah,
And then the other 30 minutes, we should talk about Treasury DAO,
yeah,
right? And we kind of
Yeah.
we separate the two, but so that we know that we're making progress in each area. Because
yeah,
sometimes we just talk about governance, and it's kind of like, okay, well, what are we actually getting accomplished? Does the Shimmer Group know what's going on in the Treasury DAO, and vice versa, right?
yes,
So
yeah. That's a good
I
point.
think there's a lot of redundancy or unknown. Like, do the people that work on Shimmer, do they really know anything about the bridge, what we're doing in the Treasury DAO, and
Yeah.
vice versa? So that's just something that we came up with yesterday, and we wanted to ask to propose it
Yes.
with regards to that.
Yeah.
Um,
That
does
that's
that seem
definitely
reasonable?
that's definitely reasonable. We were basically thinking something similar. Um, Depends a bit on how busy we will get actually with
Sure.
Shimmer governance. So we actually also thought about having maybe a separate Shimmer community or Shimmer governance call once the network goes live and we go into real, let's say, because there are other things around governance in Shimmer that actually
Yes.
maybe
Yeah.
are not related to a treasury, because we're gonna have Shimmer EVM, we're gonna have validator governance, we're gonna have quite a lot of stuff. But this would be something along the way. But definitely we should combine this, because, like you said, there's so much good work done in the bridge fund. And in other stuff before, we always should
Yeah, and it's not
try
just
to.
bridge fund. That was just
Yeah, yeah,
just an
but
example. But I would, yeah.
we don't need to do everything double or triple. Mostly we will have the same frameworks in all these different DAOs if they would become. I mean, we still don't know about the Shimmer supply increase, if there even would be something. I personally would like it, because actually it would be a beautiful playing ground for the main Treasury DAO if we would actually can start developing the principles and implementing the principles on Shimmer, see how they work, and prepare everything that we like for the main Treasury. That would be just perfectly. Yeah. So this should always be a working together thing. Yeah.
I think.
Can I
Yeah,
just
go ahead.
comment some? Yeah, hey, can I just jump in here and comment something about
Hmm.
some practical stuff that I learned from uh, participating in the bridge fund? Is that first we had like Linus be like a secretary, and he recorded uh, what was discussed, and then he would post that, so people who are in the meeting, you kind of like participate in the conversation and discussion, and you get involved. So then after the meeting, you can kind of read over, and refresh yourself, and the people who weren't there can just go through the minutes.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really helpful. Besides the video, because I don't know how many people actually go back to the video or really take in what was discussed. And then the other thing that I thought was really good about the Bridge Fund, and I wasn't part of this because I joined it later, right? Was that they had broken the group into teams of like 2 or 3 people, and then they would tackle like a specific topic,
Hmm.
like legal wrapper or what was the other stuff? They had like specific topics a couple of people would really delve into,
Yeah.
and then at a meeting they would kind of present their findings for like 20 minutes or so, and then we would all discuss it together,
Hmm.
you know. And I felt like that was like a really good way to like get through a lot of dense stuff, you
Yeah.
know. So you learn about it, and then you learn about it because people really delved into it and explain it,
Hmm.
and then you could have a really good discussion around it.
Yeah, I would love to have this. I mean, I did actually. I don't know why I stopped it a couple of like 2 3 months ago, because I did always protocols of all the meetings we had before, but I don't know, somehow the last 2 3 months I didn't continue it. But the first 8 months I did always write a meeting protocol the next day. I can pick this up again, and actually I will pick this up again and publish it. Um, and I would love to have, I mean, if we have people that have, because this is actually what I want to establish this now. Yeah, we had a little bit of a time of, basically we had a very sleepy time with the governance group, because the last 3 4 months we've just been waiting and waiting and waiting for the vote to happen. I actually want to change the narrative here and actually come back into this working environment that we had also in the beginning here in this group in the first 3 4 months, where we made huge progress and we developed the whole voting system and stuff like this. But then everything got really like in this phase of stuck. Actually, we waited since last December on being ready
Yeah,
to
all the
vote.
momentum that you built up kind of
Yeah.
got stalled. Yeah, yeah.
So basically, I would love to have people taking up tasks in this, yeah, in this topic, and this is also why I wanted to present this different tasks that we definitely have to tackle them, and we not only have to talk about them, we have to really write them down, create some documents on specific things so that we can come from just talking about things into concrete proposals and into concrete decisions and votes by the community, what they want. And we need to be able to present the community different options of okay, legal wrapper possibilities are this, yeah. Voting methods possibilities are this and this and this, pros and cons. So if people would like to get more engaged, this is actually the perfect spot to start now. And if there is already stuff prepared and has been worked on in the bridge group, wonderful. Yeah, let's use these meetings to present it again or to introduce it to a broader audience with a bigger outreach and really get the word out into the community about what possibilities are there. Because in the end, they will have to make a few certain decisions of what should happen, and they need this information. Yeah.
Okay, to interject here is just
Hmm?
maybe the next meeting or the following one. I don't know. You guys decide. I propose that we again work on Shimmer, work on the Treasury DAO, but the basic beginnings I think is that we should concentrate on the work, bringing forth the work from the Bridge Group around the general principles, the guidelines that we want to operate under. It's kind of like the manifesto, right? But before we get there, just what are the general principles, and see if those general principles apply for both Shimmer and for the Treasury DAO. See if we can get a collective agreement. See if a poll on that. See how people feel about that, and then if we feel like we're making progress and that they seem like there's more of a universal applicability of these general principles, then maybe we can move that forward to a vote after we do these pollings. So that maybe we have a body of work, or if they're rejected, then they're rejected. But it would be maybe we can see if we can leverage that body of work and maybe help getting both of them moving
Yeah.
along.
Why
I
don't
think you can
yeah
post that
yeah
you can post that on the forum and then have discussions around it.
Yeah.
And then some people could, we can agree to like amend it in a
Sure.
casual way. And then we could also do that, like have discussions on the guiding principles here, and then have discussions, in the Discord channels,
yeah
and then decide if we should amend it or not. Because it's not like a yes or no vote. It's more like it's like a living document, that people are kind of agreeing to the spirit of, right?
Mhm.
So
Right. So, like when it
yeah,
comes to spending, right? Like when Philo brought up the example of, hey, what if somebody comes up and says, hey, let's take a bunch of money and spend it on Tezos, because it'll actually raise potentially that'll actually grow the treasury or whatever. Well, is that what are the guidelines for that, right? And
yeah
so do our general principles potentially solve that, as just when all else fails, when you don't find any rules, right? If they're not written into a smart or whatever, right? You actually have a default. You actually you fall to the general operating principles.
yeah it's
And
very
that's
very
right.
important that you have such a thing, because otherwise you will find yourself in endless discussions about interpretations of x and epsilon, and the clearer something is defined and the clearer there should be some kind of examples and say, okay, this is what we want, this is what we not want, and if stuff that is proposed doesn't fit into something that is written in this manifesto or in this guiding principles document for the community treasury, then it's not getting done. Then it's just rejected, and then it doesn't need to be
Yes.
brought up into a big
Because
discussion.
yeah,
It's those yeah. So
there's no perfect document. There will never
yeah
be
no
anything that's perfect, and it can anticipate every scenario that pops up, right?
yeah
So if you have to have these guiding principles to help you navigate those waters when they
yeah yeah
happen. And also, if we could possibly, if they're applicable and the general principles are actually can be applied in both
Yeah.
DAOs, the Shimmer and Treasury DAO,
Hmm.
then it becomes even more of a understood operating parameter that we're all kind of like, okay, there are some basics here that we all need,
Yeah.
we all understand as a community.
And
They won't be universally applied, but in general, right? I think that could actually strengthen the whole movement.
yeah, and especially we would have this potential this two-step approach. We let's say we publish guiding principles and we get them agreed on by the community for Shimmer. And then Shimmer DAO starts, whatever. Shimmer DAO will start definitely before the IOTA DAO. Yeah, so as soon as we have an EVM chain in Shimmer, potentially we could set up suitable smart contracts and start stuff. And then actually we can test these guiding principles in real world scenario and we can refine them along the way and then kind of make them better and much better functionable as they have been in the beginning because kind of they have been just spin out in theory in our heads but they need to be tested on Shimmer and if they work then they're gonna be implemented in IOTA and that's the cool stuff on this approach if we would have a Shimmer DAO possibility there. Yeah, so that would be lovely. That would be really amazing, and I really want to encourage people to get more involved. I also have reached out a bit to the German community on Telegram and everywhere, so that they also get more engaged in all this stuff, so that we get a couple of more people. Because in the end, like I said, we've been a bit slow down, and we had hundred of people in the beginning here and now we are this bunch of 20, 25, 30 people that are core interested. um, in the end if nobody else signals interest in doing things then it's going to be on all of us to make the best out of it, but the more people we get fresh in with fresh ideas the better this will be also communicated and transported in all corners of our community again, because we will need in the end we will need support from everybody and we will need voters to decide on those things. Yeah.
So I got another. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Firefly.
No, sorry. Well, it's a bit unfortunate name I can see because it's of a Firefly wallet, but just wanted to say a few words. I'm new to IOTA. Well, mostly focused on Shimmer because I'm one of the builders building an ecosystem of protocol that is also going to be deployed on Shimmer eventually. We are operating as a DAO. It's obviously much smaller in scale than IOTA and Shimmer DAOs will be. But we've been through the process of defining, we call it bylaws for our DAO a couple of months ago. So I'm happy to share what we came up to and, as for inspiration, if you guys are willing to look into how we managed to, what conclusions we arrived at and what we have implemented and what the community voted on. And essentially, the sort of the foundation for the DAO to operate. So happy to share.
Absolutely. Share it in our governance
Always
discussion
open
channel.
to
That's
people bringing forward ideas. That's the whole thing about the community and DAOs. So please, yeah.
yeah. Share it in the this channel.
Then I'll link. I mean, all documents we have are public. Yeah, definitely. All
Yeah.
And would it be interesting to know how big?
About 1,000 people.
Oh, wonderful. Okay,
I mean,
good.
1,000, but well, those that are obviously actively voting and participating is much less, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
But actually, it's okay. If I can maybe just use a minute or two. Basically, the voting system we have is based as of now because we haven't launched the protocol or any, you could say, tokens as such. We base the voting on a token that is linked to a reputation, so people can earn token that is non-transferable, is only attached to you or to your wallet, so it cannot be transferred to anybody else, and it's based on your reputation. So the more engaged, the more active you are in the DAO, the more of the reputation-based token you earn, and thus the bigger say you have in the DAO. So that's how we sort of organize it to start with.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, really, really lovely. Really interested to read those docs. So if you share them in the governance discussion channel, would be excellent. Yeah, I mean that's actually what we need and what we did. There are hundreds of projects out there, and you can look into all of it. But it's always great to have people with experience coming in and sharing their knowledge with us because.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we will definitely take into account everything that works. Yeah, so that's basically what we did in the last 12 months. We've observed the space, and I mean everybody for himself tried to to compose and to sip off the best things out there, and we actually want to combine all of this into a wonderful voting system and a wonderful working treasury DAO for our community. And so every fresh input is highly welcome here.
Yeah. I mean, that was pretty much the same process we went through to, see through, what is there, gather different ideas, brainstorm around them, and then arrive to conclusion that fits best to
Yeah.
our certain situation, right? So it
Yeah.
was essentially the same process as you're
Yeah,
discussing.
we all have to do this, but it's always good. So it's like this. It's a building up on the experience of others. Yeah, and so this stuff happened,
Essentially, yes.
started 2015, 16, and we are now in a position that it's amazingly open and there's so much information outside, so we can really pick and see how things are working in other DAOs. Yeah, and so we just have to figure out specifically what we need, because that's not going to be a protocol DAO for the IOTA community. We have a treasury. Basically, we want to use those funds in the best way for the IOTA ecosystem and for the IOTA community. Yeah, we don't need to make decisions on how protocol parameter XY should be fine-tuned and stuff like this. So there are different requirements and different possibilities for this, and but it's great to get input on that. Yeah. And like Greg said, let's get as much as possible of all the stuff that we have created already together. And I would really love if somebody from the Bridge Fund could maybe in the next week meeting present this guiding principles document that you already have to the community here. Yeah, so maybe we share it before in the channel or also in the governance forum, maybe, or maybe first in the channels here, so everybody can read through it. And then if somebody is keen and would like to talk about what has been discussed so far around the guiding principles in the Bridge Fund group, present it here to the broader community, and we can kick off these discussions again and use the next couple of weeks to really make big progress in regards to the Treasury DAO. Yeah.
Okay, we'll
Yeah.
talk. We'll talk with the group, and then we'll communicate on the governance channel.
Yeah.
Who will?
Cool.
Yeah. Did you want to keep rolling? I know you have a lot of stuff going, but
Yeah, no problem. I just wanted to. This is like I said. I just wanted to give some examples for the people here that maybe haven't been following so long about what important things the community needs to decide on. Yeah. So this first of stuff was, of course, this guiding, like I said, guiding principles in actually defining what should the treasury actually do. Yeah, what is the goal? What do we as a community want to reach with our treasury? Whom do we want to support, and how do we want to do this? Yeah. Next stuff would be, of course, important things about voting. So how actually do we want to come to decisions? Yeah. And basically, there would be two major ways of going this. The first thing would be kind of a direct voting by the community on every single aspect or topic. So that's kind of a real direct democratic thing, that every proposal will be brought up to a vote by everyone, which is very, very often used in DAOs, but it also can be a little bit tiresome because sometimes people don't want to vote every week on 7 different proposals, and especially if there is money to be spent, I can assume that especially in the beginning, there will be a lot of proposals. And so it might be complicated for casual users to follow. So another way would be that there would be something like a representative democracy. So that instead of everybody always have to decide on every proposal and every fund spending 5K for this and 15K for that the community would come together and say, okay, we select and elect some representatives. Yeah, so we empower a group of people, a committee, delegates, or something like this that have dedicated skills and that can commit time in this to um, to vote on behalf of the community. This can be by delegated voting, so that you actually can revoke your voting power from a delegatee, or by a committee that is established over a certain time frame. Don't know, 3 months, 6 months, something like this, and is equipped with a certain budget from the treasury and can then independently work with this budget and follow the guiding principles in this regards, but they don't need to ask the community all the time on every little proposal or
Right.
fund spending. Of course, it has to happen in the open. Everything needs to be documented
Mm-hmm.
and visible. But there are protocols that go this way. There are protocols that go that way. The important thing is just that the community gets together and comes to a decision which way they will find feasible and which way they want to go. Yeah.
Yeah, in this very area, the Bridge Fund Group has spent quite a bit of time
Mhm.
trying to set up a framework for the Treasury DAO to operate under in this area. Like, so we once again, like the guiding principles, we did the same thing about how do you decide, anticipating that there's going to be a rush of people submitting proposals, and then how do you handle that? What's the criteria? What do the elected officials that are the delegates, let's say,
Yeah.
what what do they operate under? How do they make the decisions? And all those, a great body of work has been done around. Well, I don't know if it's great, but a body of work has been done around that actually kind of like has work to define what the criteria in which they make those decisions on, that everybody else can vote on. So, kind of, once again, like guiding principles, these are how these delegates would make decisions on
Yeah.
that. Right. Trying to anticipate that all this would need to be done. So we try to do that work up ahead of time, so that now with the general community can say, okay, cool, we have something to work from. It may not be perfect. Maybe we can adjust our sales or whatever, but at least we've thought through a lot of that, so that the community can actually
Yeah.
benefit from that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's really great. And I mean, there's still, I think the basic decision would first need to be really if the community even wants a kind of a delegated system,
for sure,
or if they,
absolutely,
I mean,
right.
in the end, it could also come out that they say, no, guys, we don't want 10 people to make decisions for all of us. We always want to vote on everything
Yeah, but
ourselves.
just like,
Then
yeah,
in the end, if there is a decision, then we will have to respect it and see after 3 or 6 months, maybe they get tired of all this decision making and then switch to
sure.
another
But
thing. But yeah,
yeah, I would say though, if you think through that, whether or not we're using delegates, the criteria on which what delegates would operate would still apply
yes,
to
absolutely. Yeah.
the general awarding of proposals, or how do you filter out what you're going to fund or not fund from the community level, whether or not delegates are employed or
Yeah.
not. You still have to have that criteria established.
Absolutely. And
Right.
and
So
also
Yeah, I mean,
I
if you have like hundreds of applicants, then you're probably gonna need a group of people, some
yes,
kind of
yes,
filtering
you need
process
filtering process
before.
definitely. Yeah. Just to one thing to add, if we talk about delegators, I really have to make sure that in the moment there is not yet a technical solution for
Yeah.
delegates
Right.
on level one. So we don't have yet a technical, or we didn't have. This is not on the engineering more roadmap in the moment to have a delegation functionality that says, okay, my 10G should be used by address XY on behalf of me. Yeah? So that's stuff that we will basically then need to be developed, or we use delegation functionalities from known smart contracts platforms that have been already in place. But then everything would anyway will be moved into level 2 and smart contract stuff, but that's stuff that we will first have to technically have available. Yeah, so might in the end not be a liquid delegation that in the beginning where you can delegate your votes to somebody and you can revoke it. But we'll see. I mean, we have all kind of cool outlook conditions, but engineering has not yet really looked into this topic. But I actually can envision a few cool functionalities with the Stardust outputs that can go in this direction. But still, there's some technical stuff to go. So in the end, maybe an elected committee over a specific time frame would work better in the beginning than
Yeah,
a
maybe the
delegation.
only way we can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, also in the
Yeah.
bridge, I would just want to steal real quickly. In the bridge fund group, we all came to a conclusion that the Treasury DAO needs to have would like to have a clear statement from the IF about what does the IOTA community need to have in place to get access and control of the funds. And what we mean by that is
Mhm.
you know, uh, what are the specific requirements? Does a smart contract environment DAO have to be in place? Just kind of like what does the IF say is the requirement for us to be able to operate as an independent entity as for the Treasury DAO, right?
Yeah.
Not the Shimmer DAO.
Um,
Uh,
I
and you don't need to have that this
yeah.
morning.
I mean, I
You know,
I
but
don't know if the IF actually would offer such a statement. Um, I just think about. I mean, if you ask me, logically, those 50 Ti need to be held in a decentralized and secure environment. So you cannot give those 50 Ti to a single seat that it is under the control
sure.
of a single person. So either there would need to be a proper a proper secure multi-sig wallet, which in the end will need smart contracts, or another smart contract like Compound Governor or Open Zeppelin Governor contract that ensures that funds can only be spent on voting decisions taken by the community. So that's basically we need smart contracts. Yeah, without smart contracts, those funds cannot be given to anyone. I don't see another technically feasible solution.
But that brings something that I wanted to talk about or
Mhm.
to bring up is that working with the Bridge Fund group, what I realized was that there's a lot of practical stuff that needs to get done like around the schedule because there's so many people working together.
Mhm.
And I imagine with this treasury group, it's going to be even larger, right? And a lot of times it was kind of difficult to come to decisions or how to organize ourselves because we didn't know the the schedule of the IF or what the IF knew in terms of legal counsel.
Mhm.
And what I realized was, if we're really going to be a community that's going to move forward together, I feel like there needs to be more transparency around this stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And I know that's a big ask because I understand why there's no ETAs. But now that, we're getting so many people involved and, they're putting hours into it and a lot of thoughtful stuff,
Mhm.
I feel like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes, I mean we cannot give ETAs on things, but I mean I posted it already, so we should work with the forecast that at the end of the year, let's say December or something like this, we will have working smart contracts on the IOTA mainnet, which will mean that if we have working smart contracts on the IOTA mainnet, we can transfer the funds into a system governed by smart contracts, and the treasury fund can go into operation. So for me personally, that is my time frame. So until December, I would love to have everything ready, set up legally and technically, um, to transfer this 50 Ti into the hands of the community, and then let the community do with the funds whatever they want. That's basically my personal time frame, which is based on my best knowledge.
So, so let me take this opportunity as we wrapping up. Um, this is a good segue, actually. Just want to piggyback on what Overclock just mentioned, and even your last slide regarding decision-making process. And there was some discussion over one of the channels, I believe it was the Tango Math channel, regarding the decision-making process, focusing on the voting aspect of it. And my personal opinion is that voting is just pretty much the last step, as we recognize, I guess, consensus. But prior to that, there is a very important step, and and you guys mentioned about hundreds of proposals being presented, and the last slide talked about spam, uh, but we could even be facing fraudulent proposals. And so, regarding to decision making, prior to voting, I was talking about the decision making management process and the proposal design. So one of the channels I posted about this one, actually, just one of the tools for this decision-making management process, and that was Ethilo. Prior to Ethilo, I had Poll.is as one of the tools. So those are the only two tools that I know of. But I think it would be very important to, as we begin manually trying to address the decision-making process through voting, uh, if we now have time to look into a more sustainable, a scalable process, uh, uh, I don't know if you guys have any feedback regarding that decision-making management process that we need to address prior to voting.
Yes, I haven't looked into what you posted. I saw that you posted it, but I didn't have time to do it. Um, I don't know. I mean, we'll have to look into it, and if somebody wants to look into it and present some findings there that could be useful for the community, let's do it. Um, Basically, like a decision-making process on proposing stuff. Um, there are a lot of good examples out there. I don't know if we're really gonna have hundreds of proposals in the beginning. Yeah, sometimes it might be if you look into other DAOs, into other grant giving committees. It's going to be a lot in the beginning, and it will slow down if the requirements are properly defined, I think. But if we can find tools that make it easier, let's explore them and let's have a look into what they can offer. And if it works, if it's proven that it works, let's try it out. Yeah, we can test all stuff on Shimmer anyway. Yeah.
Just wanted to jump in here, if you guys can hear me okay. My name's Don Kelly. I used to be an IOTA Foundation member, and I've been kind of absent and trying to jump back in on this governance activity. The summary I would give of what I've heard in this meeting is that first we talked about the need to define and delineate between Treasury activities, between DAOs, excuse me, not Treasury activities, between DAOs, and then also define where these DAOs overlap. And then the conversation, I feel like, turned to the need to kind of standardize the approach to talk how each DAO is going to get funding, and then how we vote on where those funds are spent. So my question in closing at the end of this meeting is, I feel like we need to assign responsibilities, and then also, really begin the process of creating the mind map of this DAO landscape, so that we can begin. I feel like we cannot really begin to talk about where the treasury is going to flow, where the monies for each DAO is going to flow, until we really have that mind map laid out. And once we have that mind map laid out, I feel like we can publish an article to the community that kind of makes more clear what the landscape looks like, so that we can recruit more membership to these meetings. I think, like you guys were saying earlier, this is all kind of ethereal to and not clear to most people. Thanks.
Cool. Thanks for the input. Yeah, it's a difficult thing, because like a lot of us here are already a year involved in this, and I think most of those that are really into it are that we have quite clear mind maps of and quite clear ideas of how it should work. But you are absolutely true. We have to get this word out into the broader community. This is why we do those meetings, and this is why we really need to get this more publicly out and get more feedback from the bigger community on this. We had sadly this long phase of waiting before we could have our vote, which slowed everything down. But yeah, let's use the next couple of weeks and months to create all this. Yeah, create a vision statement, create those guiding principles, and actually have the community decide on those things, and put up some polls, put up some votes in Firefly, for getting validation on what the people in this group think is right, and if it is actually accepted by the community, or if the community actually wants something different. But yeah, they need to get more involved. It's in the end, we are a small group still of maybe 15, 20, 25 very, very engaged people that work on this weekly. And I mean, I kind of work on this nearly full time, but it should all come from the community. So this is why we do this. Yeah, we're gonna have these weekly meetings. We're gonna have our channels. We're gonna also, like I said, use the IOTA Foundation channels to create more outreach into the community, have our governance forum more leveraged and used for all these topics, because we need people to really check what is happening here, realize what is happening there, and give their feedback. I mean, if there's no feedback coming, then we will just continue and process and do what we think is best. But it needs the input from more people. That's absolutely true. Yeah.
Thank you. Would it be okay if I started working with the active members of the governance committee to create that mind map and write an article, get your approval, and it's something we push out to the communities to say, hey, for all of those that are trying to support the community but don't have the technical skills and don't know how, this is how you can do it?
Hey, absolutely. You're really invited. You can DM me or post something here in the governance channel. We are open. We are happy for everybody that wants to take on some tasks, I would say. So let's work together. You can definitely include yourself in all the work. We have also a ton of docs and material already created. Actually, I will have to post some links about where to find this because we have a repo, we have docs from the Bridge Fund, we have a Google Drive full of stuff that has been created over the last couple of months. We have all those meeting protocols and things. Yeah.
Also, besides the guiding principles, the Bridge Fund also is working on an application for projects to submit to get the grants. And I don't know if you spoke about that, but to me, that was a pretty good document as well because it was actually a pretty good filter.
Yeah, it's not an application. It's right. It's you just use the word application. I want to. We haven't built an app, but it's just a spreadsheet or by criteria. Right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, you see, we have a lot of good. I mean, also, I'm writing this Shimmer proposal framework thing. So let's combine all these good ideas and really put it all together in one thing that we can really present to the broader community over the next couple of weeks or in 1-2 months, and then potentially really start implementing this in Shimmer once we have a decision for Shimmer DAO or for Shimmer Treasury, if we get one, and work on building this thing from the ground, gain experience along the way in Shimmer, and make it really good and ready for the Treasury DAO. Yeah.
Thank you. I look forward to working with you guys. I'll reach out later. I'm going to get back to my real job. I'm happy to hear
Cool.
everybody's voices.
Yes.
Talk to you later.
Nice.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Yes.
Faldo,
Yeah.
I actually have another point, and that is,
Absolutely.
do we have a final number of the IOTAs in the treasury yet, or are there still reclaims in process? Because I think if there's still stuff in process, IF should post an update on that.
Yes.
Because I think a lot of people are wondering
Yes.
about
Yes.
that.
So the final number, but it's like from my knowledge is 35.6 Ti. That's not 100% confirmed thing, but basically I think it's around 35.6. Yeah, there was
35 only now.
53. 53.53.
I already
Yes,
was
yes. No, 53.6.
stole the treasury.
So it was kind of 65 in the beginning or whatever, or 60, 62 or something. And there was definitely a
62.
there was definitely a 9 Ti reclaim that was valid. And so this is why it kind of went from over 60 to something 53 point whatever. But yeah, there might be some smaller things. So I don't have a final thing on that. Maybe also something that is interesting because we had this talks about, okay, maybe we can spin up, or we can get out a small amount first for the bridge fund thing, to bridge the time until the big treasury is out. But like after been talking with engineering and the Hornet team and everybody, they all say it's not feasible to do several small payouts of this fund, because actually the hard fork and the process of getting these funds into the ledger again is technically not so much, but coordinationally very, very complex, because we will have to implement this into, let's say, best possible would be we implement this into the upgrade of the IOTA ledger with Stardust, because then this is a thing where we will have everybody and also all exchanges included to do one big network upgrade, where the funds going to be released, all the new output types going to be implemented, and la 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 la. So we have one big hard fork. We can coordinate this with all exchanges, because all exchanges need to update their nodes, and we have seen in the Chrysalis upgrade how messy this can become, and we don't want to have user funds stuck in exchanges again for months like this. And so if we would do like 2 of this, it would be just such a logistic nightmare to get this stuff done. Yeah, and in the end, now we also see that it's like, it's July soon. Yeah, so, and if we assume that in 5 to 6 months we will have this upgrade and this smart contracts on mainnet, and with all the work that is still, especially legally, to do, even if there would be a bridge solution, it would need a legal setup and stuff like this. In the end, it might be not worth the extra headache to have to bridge like 2 or 3 months with a small amount of funds until the full treasury is available. Yeah, and so there are some technical complexities in this that we maybe haven't known before or haven't addressed before. And so yeah, this is just what I wanted to say for the people that have done this amazing work at the Bridge Fund. Basically, if you think about it, even if we would start now, it would take minimum 2 months until any legal entity is established that could be suitable for any bridge fund solution or any committee solution. We've been talking about if we would be able to implement this in the Swiss Swiss Verein that the EDF is setting up, but there are also some bureaucratic hurdles to do this because the Swiss entity would need to set up a subsidiary under the Swiss entity, and this can either only happen before the entity is established, so actually now, but implementing this would take several months because it would need to change the whole setup process, or it can be set up after the Swiss Foundation has been set up, which is not yet completed. And then also once it's completed, it will potentially take several months to set up a subsidiary under the EDF that could be used as a legal wrapper for this speed committee that was thought about. So in the end, basically, it's timely, not really a feasible solution. If we see that we have like 2-3 months later, we have the full treasury available. Yeah, so maybe it really makes more sense that all the amazing work that has been done in the Bridge Fund Committee will flow into the main treasury, and we focus on building this over the next 5-6 months into a great solution, because then we have enough time to find a suitable legal entity. And what I can say is that we will definitely, so if there are costs for the community involved in building this DAO and establishing this DAO, have a commitment from Dom that he will loan money if we would say we need legal advice, or we have legal setup costs for whatever entity the community in the end choose, be it a Swiss entity, be it a Cayman Foundation, be it a Marshall Islands, be it whatever. Dom would loan this needed money to the community, because actually the EDF cannot do it, because the EDF cannot pay for legal stuff, but Dom would basically lend this money to the community if he gets it back once the treasury is established. Yeah, so we don't need to worry about that we don't have funds available to set up a proper thing. So definitely there will be support from Dom for the community for this.
Wait, that loan is not for the bridge fund, but in case what? I don't understand.
No, I mean the treasury DAO itself. So the 50 Ti will very likely need a legal entity. There need to be.
It has to have one.
Yeah, there needs to be a legal protection also for everybody that would be involved in the treasury, for every member, for every voter that votes on what should happen with these funds.
Oh, I see. I
Yeah,
see. It's to set it up. It's to set it
yeah,
up before
and
we
to
have
set up,
access to it and
yeah,
stuff like
and
the
that's
legal
the thing
stuff.
because the EDF cannot fund legal costs. So I asked Dom if he can pay for any legal setup costs, or if there would be developer costs, because of course we need devs to build up the smart contracts and all this stuff. So I mean the dev costs would potentially be done by the EDF, but legal stuff, Dom will support the community in this regard and will have funds available to pay for the legal setup of the Treasury DAO wherever it should happen. And
Could
this is, yeah.
could the Shimmer DAO vote to use their funds to do that? Could the
I
community
mean, they
vote on the Shimmer DAO to
they
cover that?
they could, but if we, I mean, depends on the guiding principles of the Shimmer DAO. If the Shimmer DAO is set up to support projects on Shimmer, then actually you can't use the funds for IOTA stuff. Yeah. So let's say it like this. Depends on how it is set up. I wouldn't I wouldn't try to mix things and actually, I mean, if we have a Shimmer DAO, let's use it for Shimmer, and if we have an IOTA DAO, then use it for IOTA. And if the IOTA DAO needs funds to be set up before, then Dom is happy to. I mean, if we have Dom that can help the community in this regards, then we don't need to use funds from Shimmer and stuff like this. Might be easier. Yeah. Okay. What else? Are there questions, comments out of the people that listen here?
I think we've covered it. We got a lot done. Got covered at least a lot of topics. So
Yeah. It's basically what should we do next? Let's say we have our next meeting on next Thursday, 3 p.m. I would really love that the people that have been doing amazing work in the Bridge Fund over the last couple of months, um, if you are happy to share your findings and your documents with the broader community, post it here in the channels. Definitely would be great if somebody of you can kind of present your findings in the next meeting, especially about the guiding principles. Anybody that wants to get involved into figuring out certain tasks, yeah, be it legal entity or whatever, please propose yourself in the channel, start getting active and ask questions, propose ideas, so that we start to go back into this working mode that we had many months ago in the beginning of the treasury discussion. I mean, I know it's summer and you all want to spend your time on a lake somewhere with a cool glass of beer. But those of you that are keen to get involved in all this process that will happen over the next couple of months, yeah, really speak up, DM me, DM Greg or Dave or whoever that is active in the channels and in the groups, and let's kind of bundle our power all together and let's build something really cool for the IOTA community. And yeah. Use the governance forum if you have concrete proposals. Use the channels here if you want to chat about ideas and exchange docs and stuff like this. It's all there. I'm also going to post all the old links and all the old documents that we have created several months ago, so that we have a. Maybe I'll do an extra channel with where we can put up where we just post links and documents and stuff that it's because it's always getting messy and lost. Yeah, so like I said, let's get stuff going. Let's discuss about concrete actions that we can do. to get this baby lifted until the end of the year. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. What I wonder if we should like make a meeting regarding Shimmer once,
Yeah. Yeah.
like where we like start like a kickoff for the Shimmer DAO.
Yeah. I mean,
So
we will
maybe
have
when
to.
we have some,
Yeah.
can I finish, please?
Yeah.
Maybe the Bridge Fund group when they present next week. Unfortunately, I can't. I probably won't be able to make it. But maybe based on the findings, we can like make a kickoff, a public kickoff there. So not just X team public.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great idea. Like I said, I think Shimmer is a definitely a big topic, especially I don't know. We have this proposal from I think Kapi is working on a follow-up proposal to this supply increase that then would basically potentially would be something that the community can vote on. So I don't know when will come out, but if this is coming out over the next couple of days or next week or something, then basically would be the perfect point to really make a meeting, an extra meeting that is focusing on this question around Shimmer because it's a important topic to discuss. Needs time. It will actually basically be out of scope for a meeting together with the treasury discussions. So it's a good idea to have a separate meeting setting up, or maybe even several separate meetings over several time zones, so that everybody that is kind of has an opinion on these things has time to discuss it. And yeah, basically, for me, I have tried to have as much as time as possible, so we could maybe do it on a Tuesday or Friday or whatever. If somebody has some good ideas and timings to propose, um, let's do this. Yeah, let's definitely get more active in governance in all those different topics because we have to. In the end, we will be the ones that need to build all this stuff. The IOTA Foundation won't build it for the community. Like, okay, I'm kind of the only one that is kind of available for you full time as much as possible. But our devs are full packed with building the future of DLT. And so we need commitment from the community. We need ownership taken by the community over those tasks and over those funds. Because this is actually how it should be. Yeah, it's not the IF's money, it's the community's funds, and you guys and girls need to make sure that this thing lifts off from the ground. And I'm here to support you wherever it is possible. And also, like you said, if there's I try to be as open as possible. I try to be the connector into the IOTA Foundation. I was a bit of distracted in the last 2-3 weeks privately. I didn't have time to respond to all the messages that have reached me, and actually I'm really sorry for that. But now I'm back on track, and kind of 90% of my time are available for governance. And so, yeah, so if you need any help or whatever, just ping me, DM me, and I will try to make things possible. Yeah. Goody good. Any more questions? Any more comments, or should we give it a go for today?
An hour and a half. I think that's probably good.
Good. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Alrighty. Thanks, everybody. See you next week, Thursday, 3 p.m. I'm also going to host potentially a Twitter space next Monday evening for the US people. We can also talk about the stuff then there. It might be better for the time zone for the US people. And everything else next Thursday. Is there a Bridge Fund meeting Wednesday?
Every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday, that's 4 p.m.
Every Wednesday, which is, and it's 1 hour later than
1 hour later.
Starts,
so it's 4
p.m. CST.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. So you can also hop into this if you are interested to know what is going on in this group. Like I said, great work has been done there over the last couple of months. Really, really engaged, and let's really combine all these all this action and all these forces and all this knowledge and all these skills into building an amazing treasury DAO. Yeah. Bye bye, everybody.
Cool.
Thanks a lot.
All right. Talk to you later.
Yep.
Ciao.